The people in Brazil, even up-to-date knowledge is free. Because almost all universities in Brazil, but a few are government universities, they don't pay nothing. And the professors normally give consulting for free, you know? So the industry, especially the poor ones, they don't want to pay any knowledge, any consulting service to no one. Just they want it for free, like the university were. So they don't give value to knowledge. And this is a thing that I say, okay, that's really bad. So I suffer a lot in the first 3 years. And do one service here, another there. That's a market thing for value in use, but they pay little, you know. And then when I start 2000, one of my former students that was a TA when he was a student at Federal University of Minas Gerais, while he was my student, he did a wonderful research, assembled all the lab like the Americans does, published a paper with me, was a award paper while he was a student. And then when I got a consulting service in a company work, he was a director, but I got the superintendent of upstream, blast furnace, BOF, liquid steel certification process. They gave me 4 months consulting services to do a complete audit of the blast furnace up to the steel, liquid steel. Then I said, now it's my chance to be known by the ones who pay better consulting service, which is a German company, is a big steel company. So I'll probably now be recognized and I'll have my opportunity to grow. So those 4 months I worked like at least 15 hours a day, Saturdays and Sundays. And I was able to do, with everything I learned from Falcone and others, to do reports where I have designing the reactor and design the solutions. Like animation you can see on TV. I did by hand in Excel spreadsheets, things for the blast furnace runner, things for the raw materials preparation, things for the dedusting, things for the torpedo cars, things for the BOF. And I did calculations such ways that I put all my thermochemical models. Okay, why? Why are you utilizing a certain amount of coke in a charcoal blast furnace? You are not getting nothing. You are just getting sulfur. Don't they have a desulfurization station right there? So losing material, losing temperature, losing money, and then they produce the steel. So I did a really strong metallurgical and economical audit and proving everything using my value in use expertise and things like that. And then I said, no, the guy will like it. And he really did. The superintendent called me, yeah, you did a wonderful service. So many recommendations for improvements you have done to us that we are going to take at least 4 years to fulfill them. Then 4 years from now you can. I'm dead. So the sky fell on my head. But I said, I will not leave this company because the director, the guy above him, was my TA, my student. So I will talk to him. So I went with my report, PowerPoint, a book like this, and knocked in his office. He said, oh, Ronaldo, you said, oh, what you did. Okay, you want to show to me? Yeah, I'll call the superintendent to watch because he's very ethic. So the guy stays there, and I stay one side, and he there. I show one PowerPoint. He said, no, I will do that. You did not show it to me. You did not show it to me. You did not show it to me. So 15 minutes, Ronaldo, do me a favor, wait outside. So I left his room and stayed there 1 hour waiting. 1 hour later, he called me back. He was alone. So Ronaldo, you did a nice job. Those guys have a few money to pay consultants. They have their preferred ones. Do you want to be my consultant? So that's what I am today. I start to be consultant of this guy, and very few, 2 years later, he became the CEO. So I stay his consultant, but he didn't care my students. He didn't pay attention then. He made himself a new trainee program for the whole company, national thing, and selected, and he became himself verify each one of the 20 trainees. He was the one responsible to follow them. And I was doing my consulting, and I always used my students to help me in the consulting services. And those guys had the opportunity to be hired by the company. And they stays there. They stays there. So came another CEO when he went to Europe, promoted to the European positions. And the other one knew I was his friend and good consultant, kept with me. But he did a very interesting thing that started to change the way I do consulting. He said, Ronaldo, you do those nice presentations, very detailed ones, and that shows the things that I can understand. But you are a consultant, and I want my people and the students that are with you to learn, not you show that you know. So you are not permitted from now on to give any presentations of what you are doing here. Has to be someone of this company or one of your students. It was mandatory. If I did it, I would lose my services. It was the best thing happened in my life. Because now I could hire more students, produce much more, and I realized why I don't have to use only my own knowledge, only the things that I really know a lot. Those control and automation things, those mechanical stuff, maintenance is so important, those refractive things. Why not to bring those knowledge with the students, with me, and try to make it? So I start to accept challenges inside the company, in our company, from their foresting sector, charcoal making sector, mining, blast furnace, BOF, and routing. I don't know anything, but I brought good mechanical engineers, good people in combustion engineer, and I start to bring famous professors, my friends. Fruhan went to teach for me in Brazil. Wei Kaolu, we have Hedrick Guthrie, and the one that stayed with me for almost 10 years was Professor Klaus Fettweger in German, Clausthal University. And he was so good because he's a kind of guy like Rubens Silveira, the one I loved. He knows strong fundamentals and he's a practical guy. And he stays with my students, with the plant people, listen from them what they have to do, what they do, what's going on, to understand each one, if they knew something or if they don't know anything. So those consulting services that last almost 10 years built a strong knowledge base for those people, much superior to the one I could do myself. And I always say, okay, my problem is to build knowledge in the others, not necessarily know the others that I have knowledge. So I start to invest more in my raw materials, which is the interns, my interns. So then came a new CEO for that company, and that company was already a French company. And at that moment, they were verifying the young talents of the whole company, globally speaking. And in Brazil, that very expensive trainee program, they had only less than 15% of the young talents were part of that group. And someone paid attention, okay, but there is something interesting. Almost 5% of the other ones here in Brazil were interns of Professor Ronaldo. So the new CEO probably was planning to fire me at that time, because he was in downstream side where I'm not involved, and I had some people that doesn't like me. In my life, I always have people that doesn't like me because I have very concise what I want, and if the people is not good enough, if they say something or they treat badly my students, they have problem with me. They do have. It's a problem I have. I'm Italian blood. I get mad with that. So most of them, some even avoid to have my interns because the consequences can be harmful. But then this guy invited the students to see what they were doing there, to know them before to fire me. And he liked what he saw. Instead to fire me, he said, okay, he called me, I wanna this be officialized, and you are going to meet with me, with the students presenting every 2 months. And this is being done now. Now it's every 4 months, every 6 months. But we still have. Now in June we have a meeting with him. So this empower everything, because every place I go is a thing that came from Vicente Falcone. Falcone said, if you want to sell something that knowledge base, if the CEO doesn't have knowledge, you are going to waste your time. But if he has, it's only to him that you have to sell. Do not waste your time with the second guys, third guys. Do not waste. Or he buys it or he doesn't buy it. So it's a true thing. If I lose distance from the CEO, I lose power, and my kids lose opportunities. So I try to keep that this way up to date. I don't know how long it will last, but this is more than 250 interns went through this process. Today they are everywhere. For example, in McKinsey we have 5. Bank Company we have 4. In steel mills we have a lot of them. And in different industries, in different areas. For example, those startups that are going on now, very fashionable ones. A lot of the most famous startups in Brazil, I have many of them that are key guys inside already. So now in our WhatsApp connections, every problem one of them have, they put in there, a solution comes. If one needs an opportunity, the opportunity will come. A lot of opportunities the market on the money they are offering, and they are preferred. And this, since the beginning where I was teaching the students, I was related to the metallurgical and chemical engineer department. But now, production engineers and control automations, they go after me. They, not me, myself. I said, I want to build leaders. I don't want to build what they call in Portuguese, pau mandado, people that just receive orders and do it without thinking. So I wanted them to be owners of their own business and to be CEOs of the companies where they are. So I said, okay, from now on, this happens like more than 10 years back, you are going to be my boss. And you have to learn to be my boss. I'm a very complicated person. And that is a process that's going on up to date. When the things is very smoothly, there nicely, I know I have very good leaders in the team. When the thing is not being smooth, I have to go inside and see what's going on. Who is complicate the things, who is not. And also I go directly in each individual's success and felicity, happiness. That's what is important for me. So I say, this guy is happy what he's doing. Is he doing something good? Is the ones that are working with him liking what he's doing? I always keep this all the time. So the people, that guy is not working. But man, guys like him, 15 years that are in the company, I go there and see how they are going. If they are happy, if they are improving, if they are growing. I said, man, you always have to be prepared to go to the next company. You should never stop, because while you're there, the company is the mother of no one. You have to learn. So the old ones, when see me come after them, they say, Ronaldo is going to push my, because something he thinks I'm not doing properly. So I keep guard, helping the ones, the weak ones, when happens to be in the team, I bring the other ones that the guy has to learn from you more, and you have to spend more time of the team with him. He needs your help. And I have like almost 50% women, 50% men. And I love them out, and a lot of them became like friends, more than friends, sons, daughters. That makes me very happy, very happy.
So, Ronaldo, there is a very important project that I would like you to give us some words about it. It is related to the first integrated hybrid mill of Brazil.
Okay. When I came to Carnegie Mellon, I was invited to give a lecture to new iron making technologies in that event, like an opening lecture in iron making conference of Brazilian equivalent of Iron Steel Society at that time, which is ABM. So I talk about all those new iron making technologies, and I also remember, no, it's time for us to think and mix the integrated with a non-integrated sector. For example, I will bring a hot metal from a blast furnace and feed an electric arc furnace to reduce electricity consumption and improve iron quality to dilute more scrap and things like that. And I knew if I do that using charcoal from sustainable forest, would be a marvelous thing. That was one of my dreams at that time. So then that guy that saved my life in this century, which used to be my TA in the 80s, Marco Antonio Castelo Branco, doctor from Clausthal University, with that my friend Klaus Vega. He was in Europe as a big director, and they were doing a study where a joint venture between Sumitomo and Vallourec should be placed on Earth, which country, to bring then more than 1 million tons of seamless pipe production. So Brazil was the 4th place in this European consulting services selection. He said, no way. Call me in early June 2006, Ronaldo, I need your help. I know you have been those value use things in new iron making technologies, doing those economics for CVRD. I need to redo completely what the European companies did to study and to consider those things we love. He loved charcoal making, he loves iron making. And so we built 7 scenarios, and we finally won to Brazil, the first place. We're able to reduce operational costs and capital costs to the almost half in both to compete with the first place at that time. So finally the project was selected to Brazil. What was at that time 1.6 billion euros investment and 6,000 employees for Brazil. So you can see the mill there operating nicely with the design I did. And in that design, I put a lot of my wishes in the biomass life, photosynthesis life. For example, the only great kiln pellet plant in Brazil is in there, but it operates with charcoal fines instead of coal fines, instead of natural gas. And the charcoal is a sustainable and zero emissions. So it's the only pellet produced in the world with these advantages. And it feeds a blast furnace that produces hot metal. We're utilizing charcoal and utilizing a cone-steel process. And the cone-steel process is an electric arc furnace with this cone-steel reactor that preheats the things. And the one who helped me to find it, to identify it, and to bring it to Brazil is another friend of those many years, Jeremy Jones. Is a very famous in electric arc furnace, globally speaking, and extremely active at the EIST. And then Jeremy Jones introduced me, Francesco Memoli, was a manager of Tenova to sell cone-steel reactors and related things. So with Francesco Memoli, I visit many mills, and nobody knew that that was a project from Vallourec and Sumitomo. I lied that I was doing that for the independent pig iron sector, that their plans were to do that together and to build a steel mill with the hot blast furnace. So I came here, Francesco Memoli took me in many cone-steel plants since the first one, and I knew the inventor of cone-steel, Mr. Valloni, before he sold his technology to Tenova. You know what? Because I always was in the Iron Steel Society, and I met him many times he was trying to sell himself his own technology. So that old little guy, Italian one, but he lived in Paraguay and in Argentina. So we became friends. Later, he was honored here at EST also. So many people that we came up to remember. I don't know how could I remember Valony, the inventor Consteel. But then we are able to put that. And that happens. And I did also 2 blast furnaces, not only one. They were able to build only one because to cut capital expenditure, they let the other one on the ground. Now they need desperately the second one because the idea was so good that now the company shows they have the least costs from Europe and America. Brazil is 1/3 of the cost. So the German operation is moving to Brazil, and the Americans still alive, surviving here because are scrap-based. But this makes me really happy because it's my baby, but from Marco Antônio Castelo Branco. He is the man who said, no, I don't agree, and we have to do a new services. And I myself, with some of my students at that time, also 15 hours a day, 45 days straight, days and night, I had to do to make this to happen. First round, then we have a second round. The Japanese always wants sintering. I said, no, it's pellet. They want sintering. A pellet is sintering. They sent 20 Japanese in a very beautiful report, well done report. I learned a lot of those reports, but I have to counter-indicate the reports and see. But this came like it never decided. So they said the ore should be Valorex's ore. And the owner, the superintendent of the mine said, okay, which ore do you want? Oh, has to be sinter. So, when this company is going to start up, 2010. In 2010, we are not going to have sinter feed anymore. Sorry. So, pellet feed came. So the pellet plant is there. It is proved so good that it's one of the second most profitable part of the company. So that makes me really happy also, you know. So then something that I have to remember in this is I never do those things. For example, to do those spreadsheets that I knew how to do myself, but not the graphics, the build presentation. One of my students, former students that was already an engineer at Valorec, Kelly Stevesi, she did the graphics for me that every time I had to change the numbers, the things appeared very nicely. So I had to go to Paris to show the French, I have to go to Tokyo to show the Japanese, and I have to discuss the Germans in Düsseldorf. And I had some help with some Germans guys that I tried to remember their names, but when I choose a lead arc furnace, and the lead arc furnace could be Consteel, one of the German directors stay in my favor. And with Marco Antônio, that helps a lot, because for process and engineer-wise, the Germans are well reliable, and everybody consider them most, and so they were with me. So then I'm very happy. So because of this, and the same thing happens with continuous carbonization. The plant is there now; they are thinking expanding it so many, and the smart knowledge behind it, I have it, and the technical ways to sell it better, and even to get the most from it, I know how to do it properly, and I always teach the ones that are in there to do that themselves, like my advisor did with me since then.
Okay, Ronaldo.
If I'm alone doing nothing, I'm doing the most you can expect from me.
Right.
Yes, that's true. Because the ones that I'm training are being nice in what they are doing. I'm proud of.
That was nice.
Okay.
And building the bridge that brought a whole facility to Brazil is an extraordinary achievement. You should know that we are amazingly proud of you for doing that.
Okay, the EDP method, which called Estagiários do Presidente, which is CO's interns. So I use his name. But Dr. Alexandre, the one that really officialized it and take care of it by just checking us what we are doing, he called then those students Ronaldetes. I don't like because be a CEO is more important, you know? And then his secretary became like my director of management, because all the big problems we have in the mill that we need solve to speed up the agility of the students in the system, she always act in our help. And also gives us, even to myself, a lot of advice. Ronaldo, don't do this way. They will kill you. Be calm. Take it easy. So she helps me a lot. She just retired. So in this photo, it's many years ago already. So, and you can see there are many other photos along the years. And what I do with those students, because I have all kinds of ones. For example, ones are very rich, very powerful. They don't need to be there. Others are very poor and have hard time even to learn English. And all companies, English is mandatory. And I know the guy is a really good engineer. They say, okay, it's not a language that will kill him. It's a problem I had with myself. So let me help him. So I normally lend money to those for them to go overseas, do their English training, and come back. And I did that with many of them. Others that I really want them to stay in the company, and they want to go to other places that will pay them more or make their life better. For example, they are leaving this city. The job is in that city. They don't have to pay rent because they are living there already. If they have to go to other city, they still not have enough resources. So I invest on them. Some of them even need car to work, and I give money for them to have a car. So then later on, they pay myself or they pay the other one. I transfer the support to the others that needs. So a lot of them, for example, one that went to England to learn English, she's now the main technical assistant to the European activities of Longo America, Brazil. I don't know. So many of them, it's very probable, just the place where she went to learn English, you know, makes me fun. So then the EDP process has too many involvements from them, from me, from the university, from the community, because one has to take the other, one has to attract. And I go every year, first semester, second semester, I go to some schools, give lectures, attractive lectures. I talk with them publicly, ask them questions, and then a lot of my brilliant ones, students, are always capturing the equivalent ones. They are the ones. They are, while you have a thermocouple to measure temperature, is a brainy, smart guy that needs to be chosen to select the other one. Not human research people that are, I have to do a guy that knows English. What else he needs to know? Oh, French, and then they put that. This is not what you should do. This process eliminates the need of a training, because they jump as a students, interns in the company, you are seeing their services, they're working together, learning together, preparing themselves among each other. There are many techniques for that to do. For example, AST. Today, this morning, I was there in the presentation of 5 of them, challenged the first place, second place, or third place in the AST student contest. Every year we are here. Every year they prepare the full year to come here. They have to raise money to come, to pay their trip, their stay here. And EST is the best organization ever to do that. You know why? They give to them $250, $3,700 a year for them also, when I have to divide to them here. Besides, they have to do all those sorts of things in the company. And this CEO, Dr. Alexandre, also wants to make sure they are doing social work in the company-related projects. So they go to the schools nearby the mill, where I have poor people with mathematics difficulties and other things. Some do robotics classes to the students, so they have to be part of the training. So it's part of to see the society where you live, what's going on there, you know. And then this, also, when they have a weak ones, it's their fault. They choose the guy. So the guy has to survive. Now he's one EDP, and EDP is EDP forever. I will accept it as my son. No way. If I see he's suffering, he's not doing, I always bring them, please, we need help this. When I can help myself, because it's kind of knowledge I'm involved, I do it. And sometimes I know the guy will not succeed here, I will transfer here to there. So this continuous observation of the human being that is there is a thing that hardly managers of companies understand. But the product is simply magnificent. They start the company, they know everything. They know how to work. They already are doing results. And every project, this is a mandatory by Dr. Alexandre, has to be a strategic project of the company that previously they know will reduce the costs or improve the quality. So they are always bringing money. And millions of reais a year, for sure, measured every year. So I call it a self-sustainable trainee process, doing in interns while they still at university studying. So this is the only one I know, globally speaking, of this thing. But it's someone with a stature like mine, or equivalent, and the love to really take care of them.
Okay, Ronaldo, building the bridge that brought a whole facility to Brazil is an extraordinary achievement. You should know that we are amazingly proud of you for doing that. You've already mentioned some awards you won. Did you receive any others awards or honors in your career you would like to mention?
Oh man, from the ABM, I think now it's 11 awards. Here at Iron Steel Society, never give an award because I know those biomass CO2 things are not palatable for the Americans. But anyway, I have many awards from the ABM, but also I am a distinguished member of and fellow of the AST, which I own a lot of help because since the administration of Ron Ashburn, and my friend Otávio Sanabio, that happens to be his colleague when he lived here before, and was my first Brazilian chapter of AST president. And after him came Marco Antonio, then Marco Antonio came Dr. Flávio Azevedo, and Dr. Flávio Azevedo came Lothar Pechois, that is here today. And those big guys I have to put as a president of the Brazilian AST. I can never be myself because they have the power of their company behind them. So they can give some money support, like for example, yesterday night, they bought a dinner for the boys and the girls. It was very nice, and I appreciate that. I would never be able to do that. so then also, I can attract more members for the AST if I have people with this stature as a CEO, as a president of AST Brazil. And being a volunteer secretary, for 4 decades, man, it's not, it's a lot of time. Yeah. And I'm still active in the Brazilian Metallurgical Society. So, and I was also in the Japanese Iron Steel Federation before. So they invite me to give lectures in Japan in the past, last century. As a matter of fact. So those things make me proud of, and I never really wrote too much about that. And you are going to see in my curriculum vitae, a lot of papers I have published. There are many, probably more than 100, besides those books. And that's around 11 books or something like that.
Can you sum up your career in 3 words?
Okay, yeah, hard work is the number one. And commitment, because if you're not committed, nothing will happen. And seriousness, because seriousness keep you respect by the society forever. So I don't lie. The people I don't like, I don't like. The people I like and love, I love and I like. So I'm very open, and they know that.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, my enemies know I don't know, I don't like them. So, and I'm very clear about that. But I'm very open to pardon everybody that recognize their mistakes. I do that because I'm a Christian person and I love the others. I always. Yeah.
And talking about connections, how did you get involved in your member society at the beginning? And if you were to recommend your member society to a new graduate, what would you tell them about it?
Man, oh, you know this? Which Brazilian is part of this oral history here? I have so many friends, colleagues, highly superior than me in what they have done, but they never show up. Things that I teach my students is, you are beautiful, but the world must see that you are beautiful. You have to show up. And this event here is a showroom for them. They do all those training to come here, which is part of the methodology. But they are being now showing, they are connecting. How many people I connect, man? All the most famous metallurgists that I read in the books, in the papers, in my masters in Brazil and here, I know personally. Most of them, good number of them are my fellow friends. I'm also even upset if I can't remember all their names to put here, but are many. But this makes me really happy when I came here, because I came with full of students and I keep introducing them. Like Jeremy Jones, yesterday we find him walking the street and we took a picture with him, and at that same moment he gave like 15 minutes of talk to them, calling attention for them, how important for them to stay here, how important for them to connect people. I'm like a bulldog. They are together. I said, why you are together? Why you are not talk with these people, that people, that people? Why you are not going after this and that? You have to know people, to interact with people, because you need to be known and you need to know people. And if you are really committed to a certain area of interest, everything, you know, to training any new engineer in this planet, the best playground is the steel industry. Because you have medical problems, law problems, environmental problems, mechanical, electrical, electronic, artificial intelligence, process, chemistry, all sorts of safety, all sorts of knowledge in the same place is the best playground for any engineers to be. That's why I have today those almost 260 that pass in this process. Probably I have less than 100 in the steel sector, but the other ones are globally doing the best. And it's so beautiful, so beautiful. Every once a week I receive, I was promoted to this, I'm now in this position. Some invite for the engagements, and one of them, I'm the godfather of his child. So, and the first one was a mechatronic engineer. And he did the best thermochemical models for blast furnace, BOF, ever. And I utilize it up to date. He was a mechatronic engineer. He got the iron units come inside the mill, put in all the process with time involved, until they still make the optimization inside the Excel spreadsheet, utilizing what's best. And this is Mateus Lapones da Silveira. You know what? He's a nephew of that Silveira professor that I most loved. You know the coincidence. I only knew that many years later.
So, Ronaldo, after sharing so much today, we've seen that you did so many things. And I would ask you, what do you see as your main contribution to the industry?
Oh, my boys and girls. Because I realized as a consultant, like the report I did in 2000, the guy said it will take 4 years. It's 22 years now. They did not fulfill it yet. You know why? The people that keep changing the mill, they are not keeping improving their knowledge base and their skills in that area. That's need to understand what I'm saying there. So I said, okay, if I don't bring those guys inside, no one will do that. So the methodology that we do from this EDP methodology, their main objective is to build the new generation of engineers that are able to understand what their brilliant consultants are saying, and to grab this information and introduce it into the system of the company and utilize it. And better than that, do themselves and go faster than the others. So they really go fast. And everyone that passed through me, this young boy here is one example that few people can see how smart he is to do things. Say, this guy has 50 years old, has 40 years experience in steel making. He is a metallurgist? No, he's a chemist. And he knows more than most of the ones that have 15 years old that are involved in the steel industry. No. And besides, he has philosophy background, very strong. He understands what is written better than the other people. He understands people with eyes, attitudes, what they can do. So I always fight with this guy to say, please, help the other ones to have something like you. Give part of you to them. Okay? But the companies, when have people so good like them, they immerse them. They don't let them do anything but being exploited the most. So they lose their own life and the opportunity to teach others because they are always exploiting. That's why this guy is now doing PhD here. It's a way to move him from this jail he was, for him to have time to breathe better, see word more wisely than he normally does, and connect with people that will recognize this brilliant person he is.
So, Ronaldo, thank you very much for your words. I really appreciated that. As we are approaching the end of our discussion, I would like to ask you about your view over the history of your field. We've been watching many changes in the industry over the last years and decades. In your perspective, what were the milestones in the industry that had the biggest impact? And do you see anything coming that we should pay attention to?
Oh yeah, everybody now is talking about CO2 emissions reductions, hydrogen for steel making, and things like that. Then I mentioned before, Ken Iverson, when brought the Siemens plant to Crawfordsville, he used farmer work to be steel maker work. We succeed very well. Now I'm saying, okay, it's time for the steel mill look to the farm again, because in reality, the emission solution is a global solution, is a holistic solution. It's not the solution of this company, that subject or that other thing. Even myself, I'm breathing CO2 outside. So we have to look more wisely. As Professor Fruhan used to say, you should first look to the forest, and then go to the tree, and then to the branch, then to the leaves. So we have to do now, look to the global situation and look what the scenarios could be best fit here. There will be a different one. So hydrogen is a nice solution. It's part of my master thesis. But remember, to produce it, you have two chances. You are reforming natural gas, which is a fossil, or you are going to do electrolysis of water. Electrolysis of water demands a lot of electricity, an abundant amount of electricity, and cheaper electricity. And let's assume I have it. What I'll do first? Turn off all the coal power utilities and the natural gas power utilities. And then I'll get the remaining electricity to produce hydrogen for iron and steel industry. Because the highest emissions sector is just the thermal electricity production. You cannot use electricity from coal to produce water, hydrogen from water. It doesn't make sense. You are going to make the things worse. So this is okay. While is that, if you look back in our history, the first and the best iron produced in this country were on charcoal, like in England. No? So there are a lot of opportunities, like you produce ferroalloys, ferrosilicon, silicon, ferromanganese, ferrochromium. All could be done like it is in Brazil with charcoal. And you have only advantage, no disadvantages, because charcoal is better for submerged electric arc furnace than any kind of coal. It has almost no ash, below 1% ash. And the ash doesn't have sulfur. So, and also you have all the beauty of CO2 fixation and oxygen production, okay? So then, if you do remember cannabis again, and say, okay, let's, at least the steel sector, look to the farm that is degraded, deteriorate the land, is not being productive anymore, and start to increase its fertility in more diversified way, and parts of it I will have wood for furniture or for any applications for house construction. And while you are cutting the woods to make your house, the small pieces you can make charcoal. But here, while you have a shredder to destroy a car and to recycle steel, you have a shredder to do the same thing with the old houses. They are wood-based. So you shred the wood pieces and you pass in charcoal and use it to produce electricity and to produce steel. So the solutions there, they cannot fulfill all the needs, but if you use 20% of it, at least 30% of the whole emissions you have here you can reduce, and you generate a lot of jobs. For example, if I need mass like wood, if I'm going to clean forests, they have a lot of dyed wood there that are precursors of fire in the forests. So if you clean, you can use it to produce electricity and utilize the charcoal in the steel mill. And the forest will not burn anymore. So you're protecting the forest by cleaning it, and you have raw materials. So you have a lot of combinations that you can do. And the one I most love is wise revegetation. But I need to transform myself in agronomic engineer. What do you call that? But then I tried to find some partners in this area here, but they don't answer my emails. They don't read the paper we did together. Yeah, maybe it's time to think about the paper.
Right, I would just ask you if you would like to say anything else.
Yes. I am for 25 years fighting for the justice about the photosynthesis, sustainable photosynthesis. Because you see today, farm is responsible for a huge amount of emissions. And farm is a photosynthesis process. And it's penalized too much because the accountability of CO2 emissions, equivalent emissions, accountability is wrong. It's not considered. Because this is atmosphere, isn't it? We have oxygen here, don't we? If I take the oxygen here, 2 molecules of oxygen, to react with 1 molecule of methane, I will produce 1 CO2 and 2 waters. But let's CO2 in my hands. I didn't feed it to the atmosphere. But what I did in the atmosphere, I reduced 2 molecules of oxygen, didn't I? So 100% was there. From the 100%, I took oxygen out. What happens with the concentration of the other gas that are there? They increase. So by removing oxygen from the atmosphere, I'm increasing CO2 concentration, NO2 concentration, SO2 concentration, SF2 concentration, all other gases, NOx. So oxygen needs to be part of the accountability of the CO2 equivalent. And this guy, this student of mine, he gave me, after 25 years fighting, an economic way to make it happen, which is this paper we published, which is not only a paper, it's a thesis, because we show and we prove with real numbers. Because every time the atmosphere increases in 1 ppm of CO2, it is decreasing 2.15 ppm of oxygen. So we are really removing definitively oxygen from the atmosphere. And the only way to avoid it is photosynthesis or electrolysis of water. Okay? But then he suggests in our paper profit and loss. If you take oxygen from the atmosphere, you are increase the other gas there. So CO2 equivalents should pay for that. So it's loss. If you are producing oxygen to utilize later or to really produce it like this one produced and it's in the atmosphere, is profit. So you have deduced from your emissions. You know, it's a justice to photosynthesis. And if this is done, the American CO2 emissions will be reduced by 1/3 of what is considered today. Because you are one of the largest users of wood for home construction in this planet. Because it's a permanent fixation. And if you start to put oxygen, this will be the #1 in reduction. You are going to fulfill your protocol, IPCC, faster than everybody by just doing this. And this is true. It's a true thing. It's a scientific thing. It's a proven thing. And I'm still fighting alone. Okay? With those guys, those boys, okay? By the way, I just got a patent last year that I'm trying to reduce CO2 emissions because my previous knowledge in pelletizing, and my pelletizing plant is the one that has the least carbon footprint. So why? In Brazil, you have a ore that's called pellet feed. It has below 1 millimeter down. So, but then you have to grind it more in Brazil to have fineness enough to be able to make pellets, green pellets. And then I say, okay, but not all the ores have so many coarse particles or fine particles. Let's just before in the mind separate what's coarse from what is fine enough for the process, and just grind the coarse part. And to grind the coarse part, let's use a more cheaper in CAPEX and OPEX reactor, which is ruler, high pressure ruler press. Instead of I go to the grinding mill with balls inside, water, electricity, and so on, I just pass in the ruler and I get certain amount of fineness. And this mixing together again with the fine ore, I have enough fineness to directly produce pellet. Since now the sinter plants in European steel mills, integrated steel mills, needs to be replaced, they could be replaced easily by buying the ore ready to make green pellets and use the sinter bed with few adaptations to burn their pellets and have pellets instead of sinter. And by doing so, they are reducing emission in the sintering, and pellets have much higher iron content, so they are reducing fuel consumption in the blast furnace, increasing productivity, and reduce emission again. So as a patent that I'm trying to sell in Brazil, because it's a Brazilian patent, nobody's interested. I'm still, but I won as a true product, not myself. Like I said, I always, when I do things, I have my ideas, I bring with me the guys that really can judge me. Oh, Ronaldo, you are right. So, for example, Florian Wendling, a person that was the most knowledgeable person in pelletizing process in Brazil. He died last year. 1 year before our patent was accepted as true thing. But he really said, Ronaldo, I never thought about that, and I worked with this for 4 decades, all my life in this damn pellet system. You came with a very simple thing. We could have been gaining money with that for longer. You know, so then he was my partner with 2 other friends in this patent. So, and remember, team is more important than individuals. If I say too much, forgive me and take it there, because I am no one without someone, even to say me, Ronaldo, go for it, go for it. I need. I don't support be alone. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, Ronaldo, I would like to thank you for your time and for sharing with us your wonderful history. It's been a great pleasure for me. And as a senior student of yours, I feel myself in a position to say and to talk about the whole community of students that I know. And I would like to say that we have no actions or words to express our gratitude to you. To being around you is a life-changing experience. All of us know that, and you've been helping all of us along our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you.